Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Anthony, and for these videos, starting with this one, I would like to explore the groups founded by Father Bing, and give my explanation as to why I believe Father Bing is a cult leader, sadly. So, my audience for this is uh, people who have been participants of AFI events, also for ex-members, not just of AFI, but also of the six institutes, the Oath, Lim, Sith, Koth, CPH, and Smith. I'm also making this video for bishops, pastors who may have questions about Father Bing, about those who are loyal to him. And I'm also making this video for people in the Vatican. Hopefully, they will see this video and the others that I will be making so that they can understand the deceit, the destruction, the pain, the trauma that has happened everywhere that Father Bing and his loyalists go. So, for this video, I would like to talk about the circles of cult behavior revolving around Father Bing. So the first circle that I would like to talk about is and I'm not I'm not the most eloquent person at these things, but I'm going to try my best. So the first circle, the introductory circle that I would like to talk to is being a participant to an AFI event. So this is like the limbo. This first circle is when you get invited to have, let's say, a house enthronement where a missionary or somebody from another circle comes to you and is inviting you to an event. It can be like I said, a home enthronement. It can be a prayer vigil, but this circle is not really culty yet. It's based out of prayer, and that is something that anyone can do. So of course there are not going to be red flags that are going off. But I mentioned this circle because at this time when they're inviting people to these mini events, they are scoping whom they can recruit to go into the other circles. Now, let's get now to the second circle. The second circle will be the youth, promoters, benefactors, and even priests. So now going from the first circle, like I said, how they're trying to recruit, trying to scope out whom they can use. Now the second circle is where they get people more involved. So you might have people from another circle inviting, let's say, the youth to join this youth group, this group that they have made in the parish, uh, to get more involved because later on they're going to want to recruit these members to join an even deeper circle. So first you have the youth, then you have, I said, the promoters. So promoters, they are the people who are going to be using, let's say, the prayer books. So the AFI, they would give uh, prayer books for um, prayer meetings. Nothing wrong with that, where you have a group of friends, and they don't all have to be part of the AFI in any way. It can be really anybody, even the vigils. You can invite anybody to come to pray all night, to worship. So no real red flags going off there yet. And with the priests, they're going to be scoping out and tapping into a priest in the parish. And what this priest is probably only seeing is, okay, these missionaries, they are coming to the parish and they are inviting the people to come back to the sacraments. They're praying with the people. No red flags there. But now we're going to get into the third circle, and that is the third orders. So third orders, you don't call them the AFI third orders. There's actually branches. And in this video, I'm trying to explain a lot in a very short amount of time. So there are branches: Oath, Lim, Sith, Koth, CPH, and Smith. And historically, while these groups have kind of divided, I still believe that the history of this movement is it very much needs to be understood so we can dive in deeper. So you become a third order. There are third orders in the church. You have Dominican third orders. You have like Saint Catherine of Siena. I believe that she was a third order. But from the third orders now, even though you're married, you have your family. Now the idea is that you really have to live like a religious, and your family becomes secondary. The Two Hearts family, or the family of Father Bing, that is now primary in your life. Whatever Father Bing says, you as a third order have to adjust your life, your lifestyle, your family time, and focus primarily on what Father Bing or people in the other circles are directing you towards. So now let's get to the next circle. The fourth circle is entering the religious life up to novitiate. So earlier I mentioned in the second circle how they're already looking at the youth. So what so the intention with these youth groups is also to see who can be a good member, a good missionary, a good part of our team. So this so in this circle, uh, let's look at myself for an example. I joined very young. I left my family because I believed that this was really my way to heaven. So with the youth, I felt that they were very manipulative and very convincing that it was a necessity for me to leave my life behind, even though I was still in the middle of high school and I had all these dreams, but I felt really obligated because they're very good speakers. They're very good at convincing people. So now that I'm in this circle I mentioned is up to novitiate because it still is very easy to leave. But during this time, I feel that there's a lot of grooming that was happening and preparation. So now the next circle, the fifth circle, is when you become a professed member of the Two Hearts. So we had six institutes, like I said, Oath, Lim, Sith, Koth, CPH, and the Smith. And when you join, it's supposed to be a time of discernment. So when you join the religious life, contemplative or whatever, you're supposed to really uh, be discerning if this is for you, if this is for me. But what happened in the Two Hearts is that when I joined that fourth circle, there was no discernment. It was more of them imposing, this is what God wants on you, and you have to stay. If you think of leaving, you're going to go to hell, or your family's going to be cursed, you're going to be hexed. And these are things coming from Father Bing. And so, in my mind, and maybe in the minds of others, I'm not sure, but at least in my mind, there was surely a lot of fear that if I leave, that my whole family is going to be doomed. So I have to persevere. So let's break it down. In these institutes that Father Being created, no longer talking about AHFI, but these institutes, there were six. Three for the male, which were the Oath, the CPH, and the Smith. Now, the three female institutes were the Lim, the Sith, and the Koth. So, what happened is when you join a religious community, you're supposed to join for that order, for that institute. What happened in our case was that we're all thrown into a box, and there were a bunch of us, I think at least 40 of us. We're all thrown in. And in my mind, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an oath. I mean, I never knew about the other institutes. I never knew that there was a Smith Institute, even though that came a little bit later. But I never knew at least that there was a CPH. I never knew that Father Bing had these things in his mind, revolving in his mind, and he doesn't tell everybody. So then at the end of our novitiate, they choose for you what institute you're going to go to. So let's say me, I wanted to be an oath. Lucky me, I did become an oath. But there were some members who I know were freaking frustrated. They were so frustrated and heartbroken because for so long they had been discerning one way of life, one religious expression, the oath. But then they get told after they've made their vows of profession that they're going to be a CPH or they're going to be a Smith. Even for the sisters, it's very unhealthy. Your mind is supposed to be discerning and you really give your whole heart to this, but then they tell you, they assign you, okay, you're going to be a nun. Wow, I've been preparing to be a Sith, or I've been preparing to be a limb. So it really threw people off. And now that you become professed, even though it's temporary, they would treat it as perpetual. And not just, they would treat it like a marriage that you cannot break. Even though many times people became perpetual professed or temporary professed out of fear or out of confusion, it was very, I think, they made it feel like if you want to leave, you have to go to the Vatican or you have to write a letter to Rome so you can be dispensed, which is a bunch of rubbish because the way that Father Bing presented his group, his team, was that it was fully recognized by the Vatican. That's how he presented it when you're getting started during that discernment period, when you're starting to get involved. But then later on, you see, oh no, we're still trying to get approval, so it's very confusing. And now quick history, quick history lesson is that the oath, the limb, the CPH, I believe, and the Smith, I know that they have separated from Father Bing because later on, Vatican did get involved and was scrutinizing this group. And I'll talk about it in a future video. But what happened was that they separated from Father Bing, and one group, especially, stayed super loyal to Father Bing. Now, this is now entering into the sixth circle, and that is the Sith community and the loyalists. So, the Sith community, I mentioned earlier how we had the six institutes. Now, the Sith sisters completely followed Father Bing full on. There was a division in the Sith where the Scris, I believe that was what they were called at the time. Now one of the dicasteries for consecrated and religious life came in, pretty much cleaned house. But what happened was that instead of following the advice of the Scris of the Vatican, a lot of uh, shady things were happening, which I will get into in a future video. But I wanted to talk about them because there was complete loyalty to the higher ups, to Father Bing, and the loyalists. I mentioned the loyalists because there are some people from the Oath. I'm not sure about other institutes, but at least from the Oath that I know, who left the Oath to follow Father Bing because Father Bing really made it seem that, hey, you have to follow me, kind of like a discipleship, kind of like a Jesus gesture, follow me, I'm being persecuted. Will you follow me? And so now going into the last circle, and that is the leadership. The leadership, you might say, is Father Bing, but I believe that the leadership behind it is actually Mother Agnes. And I feel actually kind of disgusted. I don't think she is a mother. I don't think she is a superior. I think she's a fraud. I think they are frauds. And I'll be getting into that in the future videos, which I just said. But that's it for now. I wanted to really make this video because I wanted to make a foundation for the upcoming videos because I feel that this order, not, I mean, it's hard to call it even an order because it's so okay for them to change their identity, to change their name, to change their appearance, to toggle on things. It, it's it's mind bending because on one point they'll say that they are, or at least Father Bing will say that this is from God, from the Holy Spirit, but on the other hand, it's so easy for them to lie, to manipulate, to do all of these things and there's no guilt, there's no accountability, there's no we're sorry for what we've done, there's no accountability ability at all. And I feel that you might go to a diocese and you might do something stupid, say something stupid, or an event has happened in the diocese where we get kicked out. But then he goes to another diocese, changes things up, and he'll say, "Oh, I have nothing to do with the oath. Oh, I have nothing to do with the CPH. I'm the AHFI spiritual director." So it's really like a cop out. And it really confuses a lot of bishops and I think people in the Vatican. I think I wanted to make it clear that he's involved in all of this and I'll be breaking it down further in upcoming videos. So stay tuned. Have a good day and peace.